Thank you for tuning in to the Life of KG podcast. We are all about helping you guys in the beauty industry. Whether you're starting out in this industry or been in the business for years, we want to motivate you, educate you, and support you to grow. Enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to A Life of KG. So today I have Emma Smith on the show. Emma has 2 salons in total. She has a product line that she's recently launched and a training academy also. She also specialises in eyelash extensions. She is such a lovely person, always extremely bubbly, positive. She just lets off so much light whenever she's in a room. Like, I adore her. So I asked her to come on the show to share her story and her background and just give us all some motivation that we all need every now and then. So without further ado, here she is. Hi Emma, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hi, yeah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. So can you tell all the listeners who you are and what exactly you do?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Emma Smith. Main job is mum to 2 children and wife to my husband Liam. I am a salon owner. I've got 2 salons and a new product line that is just up and coming, quite new, like within the last year and a half. And my biggest passion is educating. So yeah, teaching around as many people as I can is my favourite thing to do.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And I see you popping up all the time, so you're doing a good job.
Oh, thank you.
What made you kind of get into the industry in the beginning and then go on to set up your own salon?
Okay, so what happened was when I had my children really young, so I was only 20 when I had my daughter, and I had to go back to work when she was like 8 weeks old because, as you know, you just can't afford to live nowadays without working. And I missed out on so much that when I then had my second child, I realised I needed to do something around him. And as bad as it sounds, I actually went and asked advice, and the best advice that they could give me was to be a stay-at-home mum, because the best way I could earn money was being on benefits, and it's just not how I've been brought up. Like, my mum and dad are such hard-working people. I knew it was something I couldn't do. I knew I couldn't just be a stay-at-home mum. So it was really weird. I was actually having my eyelashes done one day, and a lady had a cancellation for the next day course. And I took our holiday spending money and spent it on the course. My husband weren't too pleased at the time, but he's glad I've done it now. And yeah, I literally took my first course. And I think the main reason for me was I still got to do the school runs. And I understand people can't always do them, but my biggest thing was being a mum was I want to be a part of their day-to-day routine of taking them to school and picking them up. So I think that's why it opened up such a good opportunity for me, because I get to do everything around my children, like you obviously know with your little girl.
Definitely. So then what happened? What made you go to open a salon then? Obviously you've done your eyelash training.
So yeah, it went quite quick for me. I was quite lucky. I think I kind of entered at quite a good time in the eyelash industry. So when I started doing lashes from home, there wasn't really anybody in our area, in our town, that even done them. So within the first 6 months, I was at a point of not being able to accept new clients. Right. I realised then that it was something I really loved. And I actually, in my first year, done 10 courses to push myself. It was then I realised, it was around 2 years after, I wanted to educate. And the reason I actually opened my salon was my first 2 students, Emma and Abby, started working for me. We had a little log cabin in my garden. And within 6 months of them working for me, all 3 of us were fully booked. And I just realised from then there was such a market and such an opening where people needed good lash techs that I'd be silly not to. It fell on my lap, really. I was so lucky. Somebody literally called me and said to me, "We've had this lease come up. Do you fancy doing it?" And I went there, viewed it, and signed my contract the next day, which I know that's a bit crazy, but I literally just used all my savings that me and my husband had for anything we were saving for, and just went for it, because it just seemed, I do believe in fate. And obviously I'd spoke to my husband about it for a few months before, and he said, like, "Oh yeah, in the new year we'll have a look." And then this opportunity come up, and I just thought, what better way to just go for it, really.
Wow, that's amazing. So I guess obviously when you opened the salon, you had a bit of a head start because you already had girls working for you. You already had a client base that followed you there.
Yeah, so we already had, obviously me, Emma and Abby were already fully booked. So it was, even on our open day, it was so manic because we had nowhere to move our clients to. Even on the opening day, me, Abby and Emma were still back to back with clients on the very first day. So we had people up just wanting to look at the salon, and I couldn't even greet them because I was having to work back to back with our clients. So that really, really helped. And where we had also 2 nail technicians and a hairdresser, they then brought in extra clientele. And it just happened, obviously, I was teaching such amazing students. I was finding so many people with such talent that all wanted to change their life. And luckily enough, there's only one of my girls wasn't one of my students who worked for me. So all the girls that worked for me were a student of mine from the start.
Wow, that's absolutely crazy. And are your team employed or self-employed?
So we give them the option because I personally love employment. I think it's the best way to go myself. But some of the girls, where they do need flexibility and other reasons, they prefer for self-employed. So my hairdressers, a couple of my lash girls and my nail lady are all self-employed. And then we have half and half that are employed as well. So.
Oh, that's good then. Nice balance.
Yeah, we do offer both. Like I said, I think there's pros and cons to everything. And as you know, for business owners, I think personally you're better for employment. But obviously, I want the girls to be happy in what they do. I don't want them to feel like they are in a job that they're unhappy with. So I like it to be a balance of both.
Do you find that it causes, because I've never had a bit of both, I've just always had employment. Do you find that it ever causes friction with some people being employed and some self-employed, or they?
So far we haven't had any with either of our salons. Obviously we've got the second one, and we haven't had either. But I know it sounds silly, we're quite a rare type of salon because my girls, we don't have any of like the bitchiness. Touch wood, I've got such amazing girls. So if anyone ever wants to say anything or has any friction, they kind of blurt it out, have their say about it, and it's done. But no, so far, touch wood, it hasn't caused any friction, and they all get on like a house on fire. So
that's so good.
Yeah,
so
really,
good.
really lucky.
Because especially like we hear all the time with salon owners, like the struggles they have with teams, and I'm so blessed as well because I have an amazing team too.
Yeah.
Like, but it is so hard running a business when that team isn't like running how you want and under the culture of you. Like it is
really hard. And I think as well, a lot of businesses can struggle because people expect them to do stuff they wouldn't want to do themselves, and I think you have to treat your staff how you would expect to be treated. And I think that's why, like yourself, exactly the same, you have such an easygoing salon. The girls get on so well because you treat them how, if you was employed, you would want to be treated by your employee.
Exactly. And I just always said never give them jobs that I wouldn't do myself, like little things like cleaning the toilet. They will see me cleaning the toilet, or they'll see me come in early and do hoovering and stuff like that, because it's not just down. And loads of people say to me all the time, why are you in early hoovering? You should get the girls to do that. And I'm like, no, they're busy enough, I can chip in as well. Yeah,
exactly. If they can do it, you should be willing to be able to do it as well. And I'm exactly the same. I still, Thursday night's my late night where I finish at 9. I don't finish at 9 and then wait for the girls to have a clean up. I'll get my polish cloth out, I'll be cashing up, I'll be doing the hoovering, the mopping, whatever it takes to muck in.
Yeah, definitely. So in the kind of like early days then, obviously you did have that head start with obviously having a team and clients already, but was there any moments you kind of look back on and think, I can't believe I've got through this? Like any hard moments that you hear?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, I'm such a positive person. There really isn't much that gets me down. Like, if you even ask my girls in salon, I reckon they would probably tell you that they've seen me upset maybe once or twice a year. But I think the hardest thing as business owners for us is stressing that you're not going to make the wages, the bills, like if there's gaps, panicking. And it's because you care about them. You know, I don't want to ever be to a point where I couldn't afford to pay their wages. So I've lost sleep over that before in the past, which I'm sure near enough every business owner I know would understand that feeling.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest thing for me when I felt like I couldn't do it, not really my fault either, but it was just a bad time. When I opened my salon, obviously, like I said, I was given such an amazing opportunity, I couldn't turn it down. But a year before, we'd booked our holiday, and it happened to fall 3 weeks after my opening. So I went from 2 girls in a cabin to having obviously now techs, hairdressers, and basically there just wasn't any rules within, like, literally down to cleaning, cashing up, who to take what bill, who answers the phone. And what happened is where there was no structure, they just all ended up arguing. And I was on holiday and I spent near enough my whole 2 weeks on the phone to everybody, telling me how unhappy they was. And I said to my husband, like, this is literally the worst thing. I should have stuck to my cabin. Like, I should have just stayed in my cabin with 2 girls. But me being me, I thought, right, no, let's switch this. We've got to get a positive out of it. So instead of coming back negative with everybody, I come back with answers. So we done a cleaning rota to help each other. We done a parking rota to help each other. But we got a receptionist. So all of them things, I just switched. Instead of dealing with what the problems had been, I dealt with how I could do it, how we can answer these, basically. But that was probably my worst point, when I literally sat there and thought, wow, I don't know I've ever done this to myself.
And I always think when you open any business, there's always some teething problems, and until those things happen, you don't really know how to push forward. And like you said, instead of like being down and moaning about it or think, oh God, I shouldn't have done this, it's just put in action to plan and just deal with it.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, like you said, when you open, you're not going to sit there opening a salon and thinking, oh, I need to write a cleaning rota before we open, and those little things. You don't ever think about those. And I don't know about yourself, but obviously I didn't think we would need a receptionist straight away, because I presumed where most people had gone through booking on phones, etc., we're just left like that. I didn't expect us to get such footfall, and from like the now text more clients. So I never even thought about a receptionist until obviously going away, and the girls being like, Emma, the phone's non-stop, we're trying to do clients. So all these problems happen for a reason, and in the long run it's benefited us because we now don't have any issues. Luckily it was the first 3 weeks of opening. Since then we've had no problems. So yeah, it is good it happened in the early days, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We only just started getting we've been open 10 years, nearly 11 years, and we only got a full-time someone on reception like 10th year.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? That's so good. That's so good.
We've always been overstaffed with therapists, and then they could do it between them all. But then
between them.
Yeah, but then when all of them therapists get fully booked, I was like, oh, okay, we need to do something now, because
got to bite the bullet.
It doesn't interfere with like the customer service and the girls' jobs and stuff like that. So I couldn't live without a receptionist now.
No, me either. Honestly, she says to me, I don't feel like your receptionist, I feel like your PA some days. And I think, I couldn't do it without you.
No, definitely not.
But it's very hard. It was that one, and the other one was my product line. As obviously you've got your own products, I think I was very naive when I first started, and obviously just got really excited. So what happened was, obviously I'd started my educating. I had my lashes that I just used to put in the kit. And then I was sent a few lash glue samples. So this is my other one that went horrifically wrong. Jumped straight in, believed their MSDS sheets, ordered like, I think it was literally around like £1,500, £2,000 worth, which was all of my money in the bank at the time. And then was using them, everything was fine. But then I had them tested in the UK at a lab, and their MSDS sheets were all lies.
Oh,
so
no.
I was left out of pocket. I had no money left for my products. I had all of these glues that I couldn't sell or use, because obviously I would never do that to clients. And that's when I thought, I'm going to stop my product line. I thought, oh, do you know what? I've tried and I'm just not any good at it. But that time it was my husband and my dad saying, Emma, everybody has to fall to realise what mistake they've made. Mm-hmm. And they kind of pushed me back up from that and helped me obviously look into the regulations, etc. But that was another hard one for me, because I was very naive and my own fault completely, didn't look into regulations, etc. myself. However, once again, flip it on the plus side, I'm quite knowledgeable with the EU regulations now, and I do really look into the ingredients used, how they were tested, etc. So it's made me a stronger person on the other side. But at the time, I thought, nah, these product things are not for me. I'm giving it up.
It is such a minefield, the amount of people that struggle on it, because it isn't clear. Like,
no, it's not clear at all.
It's really hard. And even when you call like helplines and stuff, they're like, haven't got no answers for you. Like, and when you are dealing with people from Korea, China, or any of them places, even though there are some really good manufacturers, there are some, how are you meant to believe them?
That's exactly it. Like, these MSDS sheets were full, like, all right, in the eyes of everyone else, I've done the right thing. I've checked my MSDS sheet. Mm-hmm. Says it's all the fine, it's not tested on animals, it hasn't got any illegal substances in. But then when I've had it tested in the UK, it was all a lie. So it is really hard, because like you said, you're believing someone that's selling you a product. You shouldn't have to have it tested by a second person to double check them.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, it is a big minefield, and I say this to everybody, like my biggest advice to anybody wanting to do products is just take your time. I jumped into it because I was just like, I just want these for my kids, just so I can have my own stuff in my kids, and obviously lost a lot of money from it. So it's my biggest advice, just like take your time with products, because there is so much that goes into it.
So is your glue manufactured in the UK now?
No, it's not manufactured in the UK, but like I said, EU regulated, had it all tested at the same lab, which is all confirmed as well. The biggest thing I would say with the product is that even when you call, like you've said, the helplines, you go on the government websites, they don't actually have a regulation set out.
No.
And I think that is the hardest thing for people nowadays, is how do they actually know if they're doing right or doing wrong?
Yeah, definitely. That's
So
why
I do think
if I
that's
see anything online or anything like that, I would never ever like be negative about that person doing anything, because they're mostly so unaware because there's not any help.
yeah.
Whereas
Yeah,
some people might jump down people's throat and be, oh, they're selling this glue and that's got this substance in, or this isn't on the EU portal or whatever. But it's so hard to get educated on it. And I know it's obviously taking it definitely slower, like you said, rather than jumping in it and getting all the research up front. But it is so hard to find out that information.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even down to like the CPMP portal that we needed to put our products on, I was so unaware of this until somebody actually helped me with it. Angelina actually told me about that I needed my products on there. I was completely unaware of that for about the first, I think it was about 9 to 10 months in. Obviously then got that on there. And same with the insurance, even down to gaining your insurance for selling your products. When I'm saying to them, do you want these sheets? Do you want their sheets? They're actually unaware of what they need. So I think it's such a minefield where people are, there's no set rules. They're actually unsure as to what they need to do. So I don't think people are necessarily doing it on purpose to have bad products, or I think it's just generally the fact there is no guidelines for anybody to start, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some scary stuff, especially when everyone is doing
and it's done by people's eyes. So I think that's even scarier.
Yeah. What, I know obviously you said that you absolutely love training, but what was it that made you wanted to go into the training side of things?
So the biggest thing was I had such a bad first course, really. So I'd done my course, I didn't pay cheap either, it was like £450. And we didn't even do a live model, it was done on mannequin head. I left not even knowing how to put pads on. I wasn't told about different glues. I wasn't aware that like different glues would be different speeds. So I'd done the course and I actually left, being completely honest, and burst out crying because I'd spent mine and my husband spending money for a holiday. So I'd done it on the Saturday. We flew on holiday on the Sunday, and I literally took our spending money from there. And when I left, I just knew, although my family are always behind me, always have been, I just knew that no one thought I would go ahead with it. I think they all thought like, she's done it, she's never going to do that. And when I left, like I said, luckily for me, I did just jump straight into it, but there was so much I didn't know that I just saw such a market for people. People were saying to me, oh, what course did you do? I really want to do one. And I thought, this is crazy. I can't send them on the course I've done because I don't know anything from it really. So it was then, after doing all my more intense courses and advanced courses that I'd done and meeting such amazing people, I realised that these classics courses needed to be more in depth than, this is your mannequin head, put a lash on, and off you go. I literally walked out with a certificate on the day.
Yeah.
And I just realised that people could do such a good job if they were given the right opportunity and the right educating, that it was something I wanted to pass on. And obviously by this point with educating, I had been in the lashing a couple of years, and I had managed to earn like a full-time living around my kids' school. And I just thought, there's so many people I know that really struggle day to day for your basics that could do this around their kids. So that was my biggest thing, is although I love teaching absolutely anybody, I don't find anything more rewarding than mums that couldn't live a basic life and now get to have holidays. Like when I see my students saying like they've done all these amazing things and their presents under the tree, nothing makes me feel better than knowing that I've given them that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what it was. I wanted to pass back what I had managed to do with my life.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely love that. What a way to like have your motivation.
Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest motivation. Chloe, who works for me, actually, Chloe Frost, she's probably one of the people that I just look at, and honestly, the woman amazes me. She's a single mum. She worked in Tesco. She used to work literally every hour under the sun just to be able to cover her and her son. And now she gets to do it. She said, like, she's done a job she's loved, and she's come out of depression, anxiety, and everything just from getting the right job, working with people that lift her up all the time. And I think something like that, like, you've actually changed someone's life, and that's what gives me motivation.
Definitely. And I always say to my girls or anyone coming into the industry, you're at work more than you do anything else, and you're around the people that you work with more than you are your family. Like, you have to be doing something that you love, and it is really hard for people to find what do they love doing, what do they want to do, but when they find it, it completely changes their life.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, you spend a majority of your life at work, and you only, this is what I say to all my girls, if they ever felt unhappy, I'd want to know, because you only live once, and you've got to live it to the fullest and the happiest you can be. Not just for you, especially for your children. Like, it rubs off on children if you're an unhappy person. And I think you've got to be able to be the happiest you can be doing what you love. And all my girls sat here, and like I said, honestly, it's just the nicest thing when they say to me, I don't feel like I work.
Yeah.
Because I just think that's the best thing. They feel like they have fun when they come here.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, but that's definitely what made me want to be an educator, was such a horrific course that I'm sure you've had one yourself that you've done and you've thought, wow, how have you taught me?
Definitely. I do think the whole industry has come a long way now. Like, when we got taught a long time ago, and there wasn't as much education then, or and stuff like that, whereas the industry has come on such a long way. Even though it's still a baby business, as in the lash business, it's still come a long way. So I think there's just the training courses are better now, even though there are obviously still some horrific courses.
Oh yeah, they are tons better than what they used to be now.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously you've recently opened your second location.
Yes.
Well done. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
How do you manage your time? Obviously you said your biggest job is your family. So how are you juggling 2 businesses, your 2 salons, your training, your product range, and obviously being there for your family?
So I think this is one of the hardest things for anybody being a mum, because everybody gets mum guilt, don't they? Like, we all get that feeling of, oh, I should have done this. But the reason I think I manage it so well is organisation. So I think it is the biggest factor into anything. I'm so organised down to even if I've got emails to do, but it's 7 o'clock and me and the kids are watching a film, I won't sit there and ignore them. I will wait till they're in bed, whether it means I don't get to bed till midnight or 1 or 2, I then do my emails. So I am always really organised with everything from the morning routine. So if there's stuff that needs doing in the morning, I'll get up early and do it before my kids are up, because I don't want them to get up and think, oh, we're brushing our teeth, mum's sitting on her phone. So I'm really organised with my life. My children's things, the minute I get a newsletter home, I make sure I block that time out, that I'm at every maths morning, reading morning, theatre production that they've got. So I make sure I'm at absolutely everything, but I wouldn't be able to do it if I wasn't organised. I think that is the biggest key to everybody. We have a manager in-house, Dan Whittam, as well. So obviously that helps me a lot with the salons, because they do the timesheets, the running of the stock, or anything to do with the running of the salons, they all deal with. They only come to me if it's like something they don't have the answer to. So obviously the running of the salon's pretty easy with the managers. Lisa as well, which I'm sure you've met Lisa, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh, she's amazing. I couldn't do half of what I do without Lisa, because she is very on the point with everything. She'll ring me and say, Emma, this has been forgot to be done, but I've done it for you. So she does also help organise my life a lot. And I think I've got quite good support from my husband as well, because he wouldn't get the hump with me if something cropped up and I was like, Liam, I know we've got a date night, but I just need 10 minutes to do this. He's quite understanding that, as much as my family come before anything, also having a career in my business is extremely important. So mega lucky with him. But as I said, it is hard to do it with kids. And I also, like you said, you see where your daughter goes with you.
Yeah.
I do with my kids. If it's, for instance, like school holidays, and I was like, oh, we needed to do a leaflet drop or something along those lines, I'll make it fun for the kids. So we'll go out together on a walk and we'll pop some leaflets through doors. Or if we need some little aftercare kits making up, we'll sit and make them up together. So they don't feel like mum's at work, we're on an iPad. It's something we do together. So I like to try and involve them as much as I physically can as well.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And I think the children like it anyway. They like being involved in the business, and it gives them like good work ethic for when they're older.
Yeah, I think it's really important that they see that having nice things and having a nice life doesn't come from doing nothing. Like, you've got to get up on days you're not feeling your best, you might have a bit of a sniffle, but it's not okay to lay in bed. We need to get up, we need to get on with it. And I think it's good that the kids understand that, because without sounding horrible to people nowadays, as well, I'm sure you remember from when we was younger, up to now, a lot more people don't work till they're 20, 21. I don't know about you, but my dad made me work at a chip shop when I was 13, and it cost him more dropping me off there in petrol in his car than it did to what I earn. But he told me from day one, if you want nice things, you've got to go out and get them. I've always been so fortunate. My mum and dad come from nothing at all, but both of them work their absolute socks off to have such amazing, like, my dad's got a really good building business, and he has always been able to support me and my mum as well in anything I've ever wanted, but it never come for free. So he's always made me work for something I want, even down to when we used to like go into Chelmsford, which is like our local town, to the cinema. He would give me 50 quid to go, but to get that 50 quid, I'd have had to have mowed his grass or cleaned his car. Like, he wouldn't just give me the money to go. I had to earn the money. And I think that's a really good thing to drill into kids from a young age, so they understand the idea of work ethic and getting up and going to work to earn your money.
Definitely. I was brought up completely the same way, and it was even a conversation I had with my little girl not so long ago, and it was about around childcare, and she basically didn't want to go, and I had to explain to her why mummy has to work, and this is how we go on holidays and get nice things, and every time we go out she wants something, she ends up having it, and the reasons why mummy works, she's like, oh, you better go to work then, mum.
Yeah, she's happy to go to the childminders.
So they do, they appreciate it when they're older.
Yeah, they will, definitely. And it will help them as well, won't it? Like, from such a young age, they will know the value of money.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say then in your career so far? What has been your hardest moment?
I think the hardest moment was the holiday. When I went on holiday, that has got to be the hardest thing. I think a really hard thing as well for everybody in this industry, not just our industry, young people trying to make a career, is the exhaustion. I think we can be really hard on ourselves sometimes and feel like we need to do this and we've got to be the next best thing. And I think sometimes you do need to just sit back and think, okay, I've accomplished a lot, and just soak in how well you're doing and don't push yourself to a point of exhaustion.
Definitely. I know me and you've had a couple of late night chats in the middle of the night before. We're like, it's not working. We're like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and like, we are only doing it for the right reasons, but you do see so many people burn out and struggle because of that. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people, young people, need to do, is sometimes sit there and look at how well you've done, rather than being like, I haven't done this. So I think, yeah, one of my hardest things is exhaustion. I've personally got to do it myself. My actual goal for next year is to be in bed by midnight every night, because at the moment, as you remember us talking, it is 2-3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, that is my goal, is to try, and 12 o'clock needs to be my cut-off for work, and I need to learn to, something will wait till the next day. I haven't got to get it done at 2-3 in the morning.
Definitely. And I think it's harder because we love what we do, and it's a passion, so it's not like we're working, but it is work. Like, you have to switch off, but because I would rather work than watch the TV, that's just how I am.
I'm saying.
So, but there is a time where you have got to switch off and kind of chill out a bit, even if it is making sure you put the TV on once a week. Seriously, if I put the TV on a Friday, I'm like, bloody hell, my TV ain't been turned on for a whole week.
Yeah, and you sit there and think, what the hell do I watch? I've got no clue what's even on now.
I know, it's really bad. But I do think when you love work so much, it's a lot harder, because it becomes a little bit like an addiction. Like you're addicted to working because you love it so much?
And like you said, I think it's because you don't feel, although to us we know it's work, but because it's something you've got such passion, drive and love for, you don't feel like you're working. So like when my husband has to get up and go and slog it outside on his building site, he feels like he's working. But I don't ever sit there and like when I'm up till 2, 3 think, oh, work. I just think it's something I've got so much passion and interest in. I don't feel like I'm working.
Yeah, I love that. So
But,
out
yeah.
of the whole business then, what's been your highest point? I'm sure you've got loads.
Yes. So my highest point, I remember this for my whole life, was when I worked, I looked up to so many people. Like I can't tell you the names I've looked up to, and they still inspire me day to day. And one of my students, my very first students, literally said to me, that I've inspired them. They said to me that they never believed their life could be what it is, and I'm the reason for it. And I know this sounds so silly, but that was my highest point, because the woman went from having nothing to literally, she took her child on holiday for the first time at the age of 9. There were so many things she'd managed to do, even down to like Christmas presents. She said like most years it was 2 or 3 presents. This year he's had like 12. And I know sometimes money's not the thing, but obviously for someone that hasn't had that, she just said it was such an amazing thing. That was probably one of my highest points, where I sat there and thought, wow, I've actually given someone what someone gave me. That was really good. And seeing my first pack of lashes made, I cried. I know that sounds really silly, but as you know, trying to find manufacturers, people that listen to what you want, and it felt like, as you know as well, they take forever. So this was placed like 6 months in advance. Yeah. Then coming through my door was a massive, proud moment for me. I couldn't believe that like 3 years before I'd been working in a construction industry and had to go back when my daughter was 8 weeks old. And now I was standing at my front door as an educator with my own pack of lashes. That was a huge thing, massive thing.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. I just love your energy. It's brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Oh, do you know what else, actually, just while I'm on that, because this was good. I'm opening my second salon with no debt.
Really? Well done.
Having no debt over your head is just the best feeling, that nobody in the world can take this away from you. Like, I've done this and I don't owe no one a penny, and I'd managed to open the second one. Obviously, me and Lisa done that together, but we hadn't had to borrow or anything to do our second salon. So that was a huge, huge high as well.
That's amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
So obviously, what do you do to keep motivated? Because I know we're like quite bubbly people anyway, and we love what we do and all of this, but we all have times where we're only human and might have a bit of a lull. So what do you do personally to keep motivated and positive all the time?
So I try to do a minimum of 2 courses a year, and I book them like Christmas-ish time, like now, to make sure I have them booked in, because otherwise it's too easy for life to slip away and, oh, I've got this coming up, I've got this coming up. So I always do a minimum of 2 courses, even if it is another advanced Russian course, because new things crop up all the time. People have different outlooks on lashes, and I love that everybody's creativity comes into it. So I always do 2 courses. Like I said, this year I've actually booked a wispy set. I'm going to Tara Fisher's hosting it. And I'm going to Jade Jones for, I've never been a pre-made lover myself, and her work just, I think, is outstanding. So she's going to try and show me how to do some pre-mades. So I get them booked in because it's in my diary, I'm organised, I know I'll be attending them. I think that's a massive thing for anybody in the lash industry, always keeping up to date with like the most modern techniques. Things change daily with lashes. I mean, when I first started, people told you not to get your lashes wet because it'd make your eyelashes fall off. And all of these things change. And I think if you don't keep up to date to them, that's where you're going to start losing yourself. So I always do 2 courses a year. Another big thing I do to motivate myself is I never compare myself to anyone. And I know people say to you, like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be better, but I'm not going to sit there and put my work next to someone else's, because there's only one of me. I don't want anyone else to be me. And I think everyone else has their own right to be amazing. But when you start comparing yourself is when you can become really discouraged and feel like you're not good enough. So I think that's a massive thing, is people need to never compare their work. Always aim for better, but never compare yourself, because no one's going to be you. There's only one of you.
Yeah, I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And it's so true. I even used to say, like, when I was teaching, I'd always used to say to the girls, like, even if someone's got no one's exactly the same work, but even if they lash a similar style to you, and you start seeing on their social media that they're getting all these bookings or they're fully booked or whatever, like, then people still aren't you. Like, so even though they might have a similar lash style to you, the way you hold your service and the way they hold their service is completely different, because the customer service comes into the treatment, the way everything's like laid out comes into the treatment. Like, there's so many different points that a client takes into consideration when they're choosing the stylist. It's not just down to the lashes, and that's why you should definitely never compare yourself to anyone else. And also, while you are comparing yourself to other people, you're taking the eye completely off your ball. Like, you want to stay focused at all times on just yourself and your business.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, if you spend all your energy feeling negative, that's how it's going to come out of you. So you need to just put positivity into it. Okay, your hours might be not perfect, but instead of focusing that they're not perfect, get yourself on a course, spend time practicing and perfect them. So I never ever look at like the downside of anything. You've always got to look at like the positive side. So yeah, that's one thing. And conferences is my other thing that motivates me. There is nothing better than going to a conference and watching all these people that have succeeded, and all these people have got so much like passion in their body to want to be those people. And I absolutely love conferences. So I try to do minimum of 2 a year and sponsor 2 a year. And like I said, it is purely just to hear these people's stories. Like, there's nothing better than standing on the stage listening to these people that were in the same position as ourselves 10 years ago and are now flying around the world, teaching in different countries, you know, having massive product lines. And I just think they're so inspiring. Absolutely everybody should do a conference a year, because it makes such a difference to the way you look at lashes, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I do love it that you are everywhere. Like, you're sponsoring events, you're going to events, you're going on training, you're doing your salon, like, you're absolutely smashing it. And I just think it's just so good. Definitely
Thank you so much.
It's so good. So, Emma, where can people connect with you? What's your handles?
So I've got my personal Facebook. If anyone wants to add me, it's just under Emma Smith, just a picture of myself. Then we have Facebook and Instagram. So we've got one that's called Lushlash Salon. So this is purely for services, any last minute deals we have. The Lushlash Training Academy is where you can see all of our details on our courses, any special offers once again that we have coming up. And then we have LL Lashes, which is my product range. And once again, we put any of like the Black Friday offers, you know, Christmas deals, and all brand new up and coming products on there as well. So yeah, please add me on all of them, guys. That'd be great.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you. I've had such a lovely time.
I know, it's been lovely hearing from you, and I just know that you're going to just inspire so many people listening to this. So
thank you.
For those that are listening, if you are listening, just give us a shout out on social media and tag us, and we can both reshare your posts. And yeah, so thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
We would love to hear what you thought about this episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Please leave a review and share on social media tagging @KG Salon so we can share.
I always follow them.
Until next time, have an amazing, successful week.